everyone, welcome to another episode of Weld.com. If you're having issues with the wire feeding problems, with your wire not feeding through your machine right, coming out through your whip, coming out to your contact tip, and you can't weld properly. So I got a lot of good tips and good common problems that you overlook at everyday use. Even pros will overlook this. Before you're putting your MIG gun, back your MIG gun into your welding machine, always check the size. The size is right here, or sometimes you gotta pull your liner out. I'm talking about your liner. Make sure you know what size wire you're running first. If you're running 035 wire, make sure you're running a 035 liner. They usually come 035 or 3545 or 3035. Make sure that, because why it's important is because let's say you put a big wire into this small hole. A 045 wire is bigger than a 035 wire. What's it going to do? It's going to be basically squeezing through the hole, and it's going to be scraping all around 360 degrees through that liner hole. Basically what the liner hole is, see that little hole right there? That's the liner. So it will basically the wire will be going like this coming out of your contact tip while you're welding. When you got an arc started, you'll see your wire going like this, in and out, in and out. That's a common problem I see all the time. Make sure you're running the right size liner. Another issue I see all the time is people don't put their MIG gun in all the way, and they don't tighten this knob right here. Make sure this knob's tightened. Tighten that up. Make sure it's in all the way. Before you load your wire up, I don't care if you're in a shop that's been operating for 20 years, you've been there for 5 years, you're jumping from one machine to another machine, it's not your machine. Look at your guide tubes right here. Guide tubes are right here. They guide your wires from one drive roll to another, or one drive roll into your back of your gun. Make sure your guide tubes are not touching the drive rolls. If they're touching, them drive rolls are always rotating every time you press your trigger. Well, that's putting pressure against your drive rolls. Well, what's going to happen? It's going to make everything work harder, and it's going to heat up, and also your wire is going to go back and forth, and you think you got your machine set wrong. You're going to adjust your volts, you're going to adjust your wire feed speed. You'll be doing that for an hour, and you'll still think it's a problem or a ground problem. Well, it will be that problem, guarantee you. Then you'll see a whole bunch of metal shavings right here. This hole right here, and this thing, they always miss that. Well, that's made for, there's a spring right here, a bolt and a washer, depends what type of machine you have. And that's supposed to help roll. And there's even a motor in there that every time you pull the trigger, it'll help feed it, like move it. Always make sure that's lined up right here, always. So on this bowler wire, so I always make sure, look at the roll, look which way your wire's going. That's another problem. So this wire's going like this. Get your hole lined up with your knob. I put my knob at 12 o'clock all the time because I know it's just a habit. You get your own thing, do your own way. All right, put that up there and lock it in. All right, this is another problem right here. People forget about putting this in. What happens is when you don't put this in, it will fall out on you. But also, this is one thing too you gotta add to. So let's say you got this shut right like that, and it's not going to, your roll's not going to fall off. Well, it moves over and it rubs this inside. Then that's another common issue. It causes drag on your wire, and you'll think it's, oh, that's a piece of crap machine. All right, it's not. It's your problem because you're not paying attention. Put that on. People don't know how to run this wire properly. Don't run your wire up here and come down here. All right, run your wire from bottom and come around. This is a straight shot. This is not a straight shot. You're going to put pressure right here, and it's going to cause you wire feeding issue. You actually wear a groove. I've seen people like doing that for a long time, and they said it was the right way. It's not the right way. Before I even feed my wire through these guide rolls and through the drive rolls, I basically look at my drive rolls, take them out. If you can't see, you need your glasses or don't have your glasses, take them out. Sometimes you can't see the numbers because there's a washer covering it. Make sure you got the right drive rolls with the right type of wire you're using. Sometimes they got 035 on one side and 045 on one side. Sometimes it's just 035 and that's it. So make sure you're right, you know which one's going. This is the 035 bowler stainless steel wire. So I'm going to put 035 on the inside. If not, you're going to be running off 045 and it's too big. Well, you're going to have wire feeding issue. What are you going to do? Still crank this pressure all the way down, and it still won't run right. You'll still think you have the machine's a piece of crap. That's not the problem. I see a lot of people don't know how to adjust the tension right. All right, let's say I got my wire feeding speed pretty high. I hit my trigger, this is loose, watch what happens. See that? The wheel just kept on going. Here, watch again. I'll let off my trigger, what happens still? That still spun. So when that happens, sometimes this will unravel on you like this, and it'll just unravel underneath. I mean, it could, five layers might unravel, 5 little lines might unravel. Well, within 30 seconds or within like 5 seconds of welding, it will just stop welding. You'll have it burn back and mess up a contact tip. Then you'll get mad and have to undo all this. So how I do this is, I basically turn this in, pull your trigger, let go. If it stops, it's good. And also, if it's too tight, I feel this drive roll. If it's too tight, like it takes a lot of pressure to move the wire, take a lot of force to move the wire, you know it's too tight. Just kind of feel that around, it's common sense. But the main thing is, when you stop, that stops. A lot of problems I also see, people crank this down. This is a tensioner, puts more tension on your drive rolls. All right, this, and it does this. There's a spring right here. Know what type of wire you're running, know what size you're running, know if your metal is hard, soft, like steel and aluminum, there's different pressures. So let's say 045 stainless steel bowler wire. I run a little bit more pressure. It's harder metal, it's stiffer. So by this machine, it's was it between 3.5 to 4.5. You gotta know what your machine is. So look it up in the manual. So I basically set this to 3.5, and I usually run that basically the same on steel and stainless steel. Run the right drive rolls if you're having problems feeding. So the right drive rolls for this wire would be a V groove drive roll. 045 is the size. If you do a U groove, the wire will slip. The groove's really big, it's U. The wire's round. The knurled drive rolls, don't use them. That's for tubular wire, flux core, metal core. That will put knurl marks in your wire right here. People forget to tighten this. What happens when you pull your trigger? Well, this pops out on you, boom. And this will actually weld still. You'll actually be welding, and there'll actually be a little bit of gas still going in. Like it pops out that much, and it's still sealing a little bit, but you'll still have a wire feeding issue. You'll think about what the hell's going on, or what the heck's going on, and you start adjusting your bolts. So don't forget to tighten that up. Always keep this tight, push it in all the way, then look. You gotta visually look at this. Don't be a butthead and not look at it. Look at it, make sure it's seated properly. When you're putting your machine away and to use it tomorrow, don't do this right here. See this? See how tight that is? Don't do that. I'll have to change this liner now. Don't do that. Here, this is what's in your mid-gun. There's people with 5 years experience, 3 years experience, no years of experience, don't know this is inside your mid-gun. All right, what happens when you start doing this? Well, look how easy this kinks. Look at that. I just caused a feeding issue. And you'll pull your hair out and be looking at all these issues I just taught you. Don't do that. Do this. Your dad, your grandpa, whoever will thank you for doing this. This will make your liner last a long, long, long time. Go big loops. Big loops. Go big loops. All right, go big loops. You know, I mean, find a spot. You'll find a spot where it always goes in that spot after you figure out how it lays the mid-gun. Leaving this contact tip, or leaving the contact tip loose, and creates a hot spot right here, and it burns out your contact tip faster. It heats up your contact tip because electricity is not flowing through here right. Always tighten this up. Always make sure your, here's another one, make sure your liner is past these gas holes. A lot of people don't know this. I didn't know this. Make sure your liner, when you cut it, make sure it's cut way past here. You want it close as you can to your contact tip. If it's far away and it's got a gap right here, well, your wire wanders that much and won't feed it properly. The diffuser's already designed for that liner to run past them holes already. They already thought about that, the welding engineers. Run the right size contact tip. Don't run a 023 or 023 contact tip on a 035 wire. You're gonna get bird nesting. If your gun's kinked up, like sometimes you have a wire feeding issue, your gun sometimes get like this. See how it's like twisting? Untwist it. Back up, get it straight, and untwist it. That's a feeding issue. So you do this, they don't realize it, and they think something's wrong with their machine. It's not feeding right. So what happens is your wire comes out, it don't have a straight shot. It bounces around here and it basically puts more pressure on the wire. So it comes out, when you hit your trigger, it's going like this, and you'll have it burn back. If you can't get a straight line, do like a big curve, like a big C or big U, all right? Just like that. Your machine's not messed up. You guys just don't know. It's all right, don't know. These problems will fix your wire feeding issue. See you guys next time. Learning is key.